Hey guys, welcome back to Inverted Adventures RC, and we are moving on to the next episode of the Team Associated B74.1d four-wheel drive buggy build. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome back. We are going to do bags 10 and 11 in this episode, which is the center diff and motor mount and center bulkhead, and the shocks is the next step. So a couple important things when you're putting this center diff together. Make sure when you put it together that your lower, what do they call that? The lower slipper hub, there's two flat washer looking pieces. One I believe might be a little bit smaller. The lower hub is the one with the hat on it, and it sits down inside the spring. And the other one, like I said, I believe it's smaller, goes on top. You need that hat to sit down in that spring, otherwise that spring is going to be able to shift side to side a little bit, and you don't want that. And when you put your spur on here, one side of the spur, these little, I don't know what you want to call them, these little V's in here are recessed into the spur gear. This side they stick out. You want the side that they stick out, or the tall side they're calling it, to be towards the spring. Otherwise it's going to rub this once you put it together. So put your center diff together. You're going to use the slipper shaft, thread the nut on there, put the spring down, your lower slipper hub, or front they call it, which is the one with the hat, slipper pad, spur gear, slipper pad, and the upper or rear slipper hub. And then you're going to take the CV joint from this side, slide it on there, run the pin through it, and then run the set screw. The set screw goes in from the end. And once you have that all together, and you want to thread the slipper screw all the way down, or slipper nut all the way down against the base, so there's no tension on the spring, otherwise it's going to suck to get together. Once you put it together, you thread that back up, and they recommend you start it at 2.1 millimeters, so you're going to get your caliper out again and measure that. Obviously I'm going to let Trevor make the adjustments to the slipper himself, but for spec you're going to get it to 2.1 millimeters, put the set screw in there, and then the diff is ready to go. That's pretty easy. The next step that's important, so you're going to put the motor mount on, and then you're going to put this center bulkhead. They are cut on the inside for the, put your bearings on either end. It'll be the last two bearings you have left in the kit. The center bulkhead is cut so that the bearings sit in it. If you don't pay attention, because it doesn't mention it in the instructions, and you put it in there facing the same way that this is, then your bearing, one bearing's on the outside side and one's on the inside, and that's going to be able to move, and you're going to ruin that center diff. You're going to rip the gears off of this, and you're going to chew this up, because this center diff will be able to move forward and backward on these pins for the drive shafts. So make sure that the further recessed piece is in on the bulkhead and in on the motor mount, so they're facing each other. So when you put your bearings in there, the diff sits in there nice, and it can't, there's no forward to back play. And then you're going to put this upper, what do they call that? Center bulkhead brace on from the top. That'll hold your bearings and your diff down in place, and then you are good to go. And that is step 10. Alright guys, so we're going to finish up with the shocks and the final assembly. So shocks are pretty straightforward. There's a lot of pieces to them, but if you follow the directions, it's pretty easy. Once you get the internal parts and the shaft assembled, an important step to that is bleeding them. So you're going to fill the shock shaft the body about 3/4 of the way with fluid, whichever weight fluid you're going to use. And once you have that about 3/4 full, you're going to slowly push that shock shaft up in there, not all the way, and then pull it back down to the bottom, and that's going to push all the air bubbles out that are underneath the plate in there. And then let those all rise to the top, fill it the rest of the way. You're going to put a little dot in the cap, screw your cap on, and then compress that shock, and then you're going to put the bleeder screw in. Do that for all 4 shocks. Next, you do not put the shocks on, you have to put the anti-roll bars on, and they're pretty easy. Build the little ends, pop the ends on the arms in here, bolt them to the front, slide them through there, bolt it in on the front. There's set screws here. You tighten them just enough that they're set. But if you make them too tight, the roll bar doesn't roll by itself. So you'll know if you push up on it and it doesn't collapse back down, you've got them too tight. Do the same thing for the back. Once you have that done, bolt the shocks on, and that is shocks, anti-roll bars. That's where I'm going to end this build. Bag 13 is like servo mount stuff, and I'm not doing the electronics in this. I'm going to give it back to Trevor. So this is the finished team associated B74.1d buggy. It was really fun to build. I'm sorry the way the last 2 videos are going to turn out. It's taken too long, and in the time it usually takes me to shoot 1 video, I have finished building this and shot these last 2 videos, so it just needed to get done. I want to get it back to Trevor, so it was fun. Hopefully it runs good. I guess I will find out, because I see him most of it every week at the track, and we'll see how it runs for him. I don't race this kind of stuff. I race on-road carpet stuff like F1 and Euro Truck and stuff, so hopefully it runs well for him, and I once again appreciate him letting me do this build. Thank all of you guys for following along and watching the videos. If you have any other questions, I am be happy to answer them. If you liked these videos, leave a thumbs up. Watch the whole series. This will all be in the playlist, so you can watch them one after the other in a row if you're thinking about building it. And if you want to stay in the loop and around for future content, please subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But as for this, we are finished, and I'm going to get a hold of Trevor and find out when I can get it back to him, and we will move on to some new content on the channel. So until then, this is Richard from Inverted Adventures RC. Happy bashing, crashing, flying, whatever you're doing. Get out and enjoy some RC stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.